Good evening. I'm Henry Lucey alongside Trinity football head coach Devanney, and I wanted to welcome you to the Coaches Show. It's the first edition of the 2014 season. And before we get going, Coach, I want to congratulate you guys on a 32-7 win over Colby on Saturday, extending the home winning streak to 52 games.
Thank you.
And so going into questions now. How is the preparation different for week one than any other game? Obviously, you have 28, 30 days to prepare for Colby. How is that different?
Yeah, it's a lot different because you've basically of those 28 days, the first 20 or so, you're just installing, especially in the NESCAC when there's no spring football. You know, our spring football kind of is the first 2 weeks of preseason. You're still trying to figure out who you have, what kind of a team you're going to be. Offensively, we had kind of had some thoughts about who we were going to be, but we weren't sure who our starting quarterback was going to be. So you can't really prepare or game plan when you don't know that going in. And then the other difference is, when you look at Colby this year, Colby had a new offensive coordinator. So while we could plan for their players and we kind of knew who their quarterback was and who their receivers were, they ran different plays in the first half than we practiced in preparation. So we had to make some quick adjustments at halftime.
Absolutely. And then during the game, you guys were trailing 7-2 after the first quarter, and were only leading 9-7 going into the half. What was the message in the locker room?
It was really I was proud of our guys. We were calm. Nobody was really worried about it. We met as a staff as we always do, and we had to make some adjustments because they were doing some things we hadn't planned for first week. Not to be unexpected. So we got those adjustments down as coaches. We put them up on the board for the players. Told the guys to relax. I actually thought we had pretty much dominated the first half. We just hadn't finished drives. And I think one of the things the first half did, while it was close, I think we wore them down in that first half. We possessed the ball. Our offense really drove from 20 to 30, 20 to 30, 20 to 30. Then we kept stalling on 4th and 1, 3rd and 2. But I think that time of possession eventually wore them down a little bit.
Absolutely. Now, going into the game, there were some doubts about the ground game. I mean, it's a staple point of Trinity football. You just came off 4 years of having Evan Bunker and Ben Crick, two outstanding running backs. Now, senior running back Chudy Oregulum, proved everyone wrong. He was unbelievable. He had 134 yards, 3 touchdowns and 25 carries. What enabled him to break out like that?
Well, I think a couple things. First of all, Chudy's a very good player, and Chudy's had to be patient because for 3 years he's been behind Evan Bunker and Ben Crick. And one of the things that I'm most proud about with Chudy is he never once complained about that. He just showed up to practice. He worked hard. He's a much better player now than he was 3 years ago. But this is one of those things about college football where like the outside world looks at who's gone and like, oh, Trinity's not going to be able to run the ball because those guys are gone. I think Chudy's very good. I think Jacob Rivers is good. I think Gus Ackley's really good. And I think our offensive line is better right now than it was a year ago. So we as coaches weren't as nervous about having the ability to run the ball.
Yeah, in addition to Chudy, you guys had 4 guys, I think, who were over 20 yards running the ball. So there's clearly some depth there, too, which is always important.
There is, and we're getting the ball, we're bringing the running back, the receivers into the backfield sometimes, too. So, we need to have Darian Myers and Nick Gaynor and Ian Duggar are going to come back in the backfield and get the ball because we need to have the ball in their hands. So.
Mm-hmm. One of the downsides about Saturday's game was penalties. You guys had 13 penalties for a loss of 126 yards.
Yeah.
Would you say most of those were first game jitters, lack of communication, inexperience, really?
Yeah, those are things we have to clean up. I don't want to blame the first game on them because some of them were, some of them might have been say first game type of thing, but some of them we blocked below the waist on an interception. That's football 101. Our guys know better than that. We practice that every day. We blocked below the waist on an outside in block. We had a high-low block between a guard and a tackle. Those are things that it doesn't matter if you're in your first game or 8th game, you can't do. We had a face mask. We had some holding. Those things, that's going to happen every week. There's nothing you can do about those things. But certainly 13 penalties is too many. And one of them was on me, my first ever penalty on myself. So I guess I have to clean up my act on the sideline too.
All right, and then the freshmen, what have they shown you so far? I mean, it's a 75-man roster. Freshmen are going to have to contribute in games at some point. What has this class shown you thus far?
I'd say two things. Is they're really talented, and they can run around. They're physical, but the other thing is they have a focus more so than maybe some freshman classes we've had. They're really intent about being good football players. And like you said, with a 75-man roster, you're always going to have some that play. But Chris Simmons, our freshman tackle, is going to start for us as a freshman. Spencer Allcamp, the quarterback, the freshman from New Jersey, got in a few snaps on Saturday. Ethan Sirachi, the running back, is going to play some as a freshman. We've got some linebackers that are going to play as freshmen. We had 2 defensive linemen on the field in that game, and they'll play more as the season goes on as well. So it's a very talented class, and some of them are going to get on the field right away.
Now, going forward, you guys play Williams at Williams on Saturday. Williams is coming off a huge 36-0 win over Bowdoin. What's the message in practice this week as you guys prepare for a very talented Williams team?
Yeah, the biggest thing for us is we just need to improve. I mean, I thought that was a good win for week 1. I think Colby's a very good team, and people might overlook that. I thought they were going to be good because they have a lot of returning players. Now that we've actually played them and I've watched the film, I think they're very good. I think they're really physical. So I think that was a good win for us. I think we have the ability to be a good team, and we need to focus on cleaning up the things that we didn't do well on Saturday. Playing Williams is a great challenge. It always has been. When I played here, we had some great battles with them, and I would have loved to play them 8 games a year. It's one of those rivalries that's fun. There's a respect between the teams, but it's always comes down to seems like the last 2 minutes. So, our biggest thing isn't necessarily that we're playing Williams or anything like that. It's just we need to get better than we did the first week.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, thanks so much for joining us, and best of luck Williams next week, and we look forward to sitting down with you and recapping it.
All right, sounds good. Thanks a lot.